As the saying goes, if something is too good to be true, then it probably is. But it can be very tempting. Today's video, by popular vote, is on common scams and dangers. But if you are new here and you want to receive regular videos on legal guidance from a practicing barrister, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell icon. So being scammed is probably one of the most humiliating and sickening feelings anyone can have, but many people fall for it. So before I run through lots of scams that I've come across, I've got a few golden tips that I would urge you all to stick to. My number one tip across the board is that if someone approaches you, rather than you approaching them, think very, very carefully about whatever you do next. Because a cold call or cold contact of any kind has got a much higher percentage chance of being a scam. Number two is never send anyone any money unless you are absolutely certain of where the money's going, what it's for, and you've got some level of protection. Particularly if you're being asked to send a bank transfer, because it is very difficult to do anything about a bank transfer once the money's left your account. Whereas if you're using a credit card, there's certain fraud protections in there. If you're using PayPal or Stripe or any of those kind of merchants, there are certain protections within those as well. And my third most important tip is never give out any of your details unless you are the one initiating contact and you are certain of who the person is. Even if someone rings you up and they've got some of your details, and it might be enough to convince you that it is a company that you've dealt with or you have an account with or anything like that, it can still be a scam, because if some of your information has been leaked or sold or just wrongly given out, then they might have some of your information, which might be enough to convince you that it is this person or this company that you're dealing with. But then if you give lots of other information out, you're just giving them more information, and this could lead into identity theft and all kinds of other issues. So with that said, for me there are some broad categories of types of scams that you might come across. One of the ways of spotting any kind of scam is that any kind of contact initiated with you that is designed to provoke a reaction from you, whether that's a reaction out of fear, whether that's a reaction out of desire, or whether it's a reaction that you need to do something, such as go collect a parcel, ring up a company, make a payment, or any of those kind of things. So taking some examples under some of these headings. Let's say someone rings you up and says that you've missed a payment on your account, on your credit card, on your bank, on your school fees, on your council tax, or any of these accounts that you make regular payments to that would have a detrimental effect to you, maybe your credit rating or any of those kind of things if you miss a payment. Your reaction is going to be to want to deal with it there and then. This is prompting you to deal with something straight away. This is playing on your fear. It's getting you to react and respond immediately. Lots of people will take out a credit card, give out payment details over the phone, thinking that it's going to settle the payment and make the problem go away. Now, you might well be thinking that you'll never fall for such a scam, but if someone rings you up and they have just enough of your information, maybe your name, maybe your date of birth, maybe your address, maybe even where you work, all of these kind of things. But if you think about your Facebook account, your LinkedIn account, someone can find out just enough information about you to perhaps convince you that they really are who they say they are and that you really need to settle this payment right now. If you take out your credit card, they can then use that credit card for lots of different payments and recoup funds, and you're left to sort it out. The element of fear can be heightened even more if they tell you that they are from Her Majesty's Court Service or Her Majesty's Revenue and Customs Service. Your fears will be on high alert and you will want to deal with it. So in these scenarios, you can rest assured that serious contact of any form like this is going to come through the post to your registered address. Other examples include medical emergencies. Someone will ring you up, tell you that someone that you know, one of your family, one of your friends, has suffered some kind of accident. They need funds for an immediate operation or immediate care or anything like this, and they ask you for payment. This kind of situation could come about very easily if the person they are talking about has had their email account hacked, and the scammer has access to lots of their details and information, and within their contacts list is you as mum or dad or brother or some other kind of relative. They will know enough about this person to convince you that it really is this person they're talking about. They really are in trouble and they need you to send some money urgently because this person needs it. Again, playing on your fears and the immediacy of the situation, trying to get you to part with some money to deal with this emergency. This can be particularly prevalent if the person in question is on holiday and the scammer knows they're on holiday. They know that you will know that they are on holiday. They will convince you that this person really is someone that they're dealing with. In all of these situations, by all means hear what they have to say in case it really is genuine, but then try to make contact yourself rather than just sending money away. So how about some scams that just generally sound far too good to be true? For example, tax refunds. You might get an email or a phone call or a letter telling you that you are due a tax refund, but you must give lots of details first, or even logging into a website to put in your username and password to receive this tax refund, when in fact the website that you're directed to is a fake website. Many of you will think that you will spot a fake website, but some of them are very convincing. So again, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. And if you really are due a tax refund, you are likely to hear about it on official paper from HMRC, and it will be calculated and repaid automatically anyway. Of course, both of these examples might apply to any kind of payment or tax of any kind, such as council tax, payment of wages, pensions, PPI refunds, or any other kind of investment payments. Other kind of scams that prey on your fears might be anything to do with computers or accounts or websites or emails. You might get an email, a telephone call, or a pop-up on the screen telling you that your account has been hacked or your computer's been hacked, and you need to call immediately for technical support to get the problem resolved. When you speak to them or when they call you, they might ask you for a fee, they might ask you for remote access to your computer and charge you fees for fixing problems that didn't exist in the first place. Of course, if you do give them access to your computer, maybe by downloading some kind of software, this may be downloading something that gives them direct access to the computer itself. They might ask you to put in usernames and passwords, all of which they might be tracking. So again, this comes back to one of my fundamental rules. If you did not initiate the request for assistance, then my advice is to ignore it. If you do get a message that you're genuinely worried about, for example, you get a text message from your bank telling you that there's an unauthorized payment request made on the account, don't respond to the text message, don't call the number that's in the text message, and don't click the website that's in that text message. You will know how to go to your bank's official website and find their official phone number. You can then ring them directly yourself, you can verify yourself, you will know that you are speaking to the actual bank and not some fraudster. When you're on the phone to the bank, you can ask them whether there's been any unauthorized payment attempts made on the account or any of your cards, and they will be able to confirm it for you. The same goes for any other online internet account. For example, Amazon has so many customers, it is obviously a ripe target for fraudsters. Even I've had phone calls telling me that there's been a problem on my Amazon account, someone has tried to order an iPhone for £1,200, and they need me to confirm some details with them so that they can verify the purchase and sort it out. Now, obviously, I'm wise to this. I know that fraudsters are doing this. The first thing I did is just hang up. I log into my Amazon account myself through the app, which I know is Amazon's app, and I check there's no orders on there, there's no requests on there, and I know for a fact that there was no payment, and I know that this was just someone trying to scam some details out of me. Other kind of scams might not be quite so obvious, and this might blur in with another video that I will do by popular request on dodgy car dealers. For example, some cars might be advertised with 15,000 miles on the clock, when in fact it's got 50,000 miles on the clock and it's just been tampered with. It might be that the car's been in an accident before, maybe even an insurance write-off, and the seller is not declaring that to you. In some quite outrageous examples, a Toyota has been redressed to look like a Ferrari. You might think it's quite obvious to see that a car has been dressed up to look like a Ferrari, but if I told you that the traders in this example bought genuine Ferrari parts inside and out and made this shell of a Toyota car look like a Ferrari, then if you are not a Ferrari enthusiast, you just think you're getting a bargain, whereas in fact it is an old, overpriced, modified Toyota. In any of these scenarios, many of you will be aware of the HPI check that you can do on vehicles, which will check the history, whether it's been in an accident, whether it's been written off, whether there's any outstanding finance against it, all of which you get for about £20, which gives you peace of mind that the history of the vehicle you're being told is accurate. When trying to determine if a website is safe, most browsers are quite good these days as long as you keep them up to date, but as always, don't just rely on any one piece of information, you need to take everything together. In one case reported by The Guardian in February 2020, a woman lost £95,000 because her solicitor's email account had been hacked. This lady then received an email, which obviously came from the solicitor's correct email address, asking her to transfer money into a given account. She paid £50,000 into the account details that she was given. She then emailed for a confirmation that those funds had been received. She received a confirmation and then she sent yet more money. You can read more about this case at the link below. This just goes to show that even if you get an email that really is from the company that you're dealing with, before you send any large amounts of money or any amount of money at all, always try to confirm on the phone with someone that you know and someone whose voice you'll recognize that you contact so that you can be absolutely sure that this is the correct person, it's a genuine email, and these are the right bank details that you're sending money to. Another kind of scam is something called a money mule, which involves money laundering. Broadly speaking, money laundering is the process by which criminals pass money from illegitimate activities known as proceeds of crime through another account, another business, to try to, as they say, clean the money. Hence the term money laundering. They're trying to pass this money through another party and then get it back, so that there's an intermediary in between that separates them from the proceeds of crime. Now, you might think that this is something that you never possibly get involved with. However, many students have been duped by this because they've been asked to receive money on behalf of someone else, another student perhaps, and pass it through their account in order to bring it into the UK from overseas, and they'll pay them a fee for doing so. The student might feel that there's no risk in this because they get the money into their account, they give it back, minus a fee afterwards, and they've made some easy money. Or so they thought. But if you followed my description of what money laundering is, this means that the student has unwittingly got involved in money laundering and they can be prosecuted. Not only that, they might end up with a fraud marker against their name, meaning all of their accounts will get closed and they will find it very difficult to go about any sort of standard daily life because they won't even have a bank account. Another kind of scam is known as contactless card skimming. As most of you will be aware, a contactless card has a magnetic coded chip in it that when held up to a card reader, it authenticates and then that payment goes through. But these days, it's shockingly easy to get hold of technology that can remotely clone this card if it comes close enough. So if you carry your card in your wallet or your purse, in your side pocket, your back pocket or your side purse, and someone brushes up to you with the technology concealed in their jacket, they may be able to remotely clone your contactless card. They can then reproduce that and go and use it elsewhere. Lots of other types of scams involve the sale and purchase of goods on fake websites and auction websites, some of which have been around for a very long time and are still around today. I remember when I was about 24 years old, I almost got scammed by one of these fraudsters. I was selling a phone online on eBay. I was paid by PayPal and they wanted the tracking number for me sending this off to them. 20 minutes later, I got an email from PayPal telling me that it was a stolen card and they'd retracted the money from my account. But this is a scam that still goes on today. Other more blatant frauds and scams involve the sale of something that seems really too good to be true, a really great price for what would otherwise be a really expensive item, but they only accept bank transfer. Of course, if you are tempted by that and you send the bank transfer, they never send the goods to you. And bank transfers are very much more difficult to get back. Whereas if you use a credit card, and so long as the payment was between £100,000 and £30,000, you could raise what's known as a Section 75 claim against the credit card company. Essentially, this makes the credit card company jointly liable with the person that sold you the goods. Other kind of scams might be door-to-door, and they can take many different forms. For example, you might get someone who's dressed and looks like a window cleaner, offering you a really good deal. All they want to do at the moment is to have a good look around the house at all the windows, all the doors, so they can give you the very best price. What they're really doing is looking for entry points and weak points of the house that they might come back to break in. They might even ask you what sort of time of day are you in so they can catch the house when you're not there and things like that. So be very careful who you give this sort of information to. Some more recent door-to-door scams have been about COVID tests. Someone coming to the door, pretending to be from the local clinic, doing a test for a certain number of pounds. They might administer some kind of swab to you, make the whole thing look quite genuine, but obviously it's not a real test, they're just taking the money. The same can be said for door-to-door prescription services. Someone might come to the house of an elderly person whom they think might be a reasonable target as someone having a regular prescription. They offer to go and collect this prescription for a given fee. Obviously, they never come back with a prescription, they've just taken the money. Another huge scam has been about the Green Homes Grant scheme, where lots of homeowners have been eligible for a £5,000 grant, but have received cold calls and emails and things like that, requesting them to fill out a long form with lots of details and pay some kind of fee for an inspection or a survey, all of which is a complete sham. Again, going back to my key rule, if you are contacted out of the blue, you need to make fresh contact with a legitimate source to verify this for yourself. And finally, although there are lots of others which I'll discuss with you in the comments, the coronavirus pandemic has, of course, given uprising to a new kind of fraud. Lots of people have received a very convincing text message purporting to be from the NHS, taking you to a website that looks very convincing that it's from the NHS, asking for lots of your details, including your bank details, to verify your identity for eligibility for a vaccine. So again, going back to my golden rule, if you are contacted out of the blue, always verify by making fresh contact yourself to a number that you can verify and you know is absolutely accurate. And don't take the number off the website that you're directed to or the text message that you receive. Look it up online. The official website will usually come to the top and you can verify it before you make contact. And again, as a general rule, none of these companies are going to ask you for things like bank details over the phone, over text message, via email. They're not going to ask you for this type of sensitive information. And even if it really is your bank ringing you and they are asking you to verify certain information, these days, even I don't take those calls. I politely refuse and I initiate fresh contact myself, because then I am confident that I am really talking to my bank and that it's not just some fraudster on the other end. So there you go, there's just a few of the common scams that I've come across. So this, I believe, is going to end up as part 1, and there's probably going to be many parts to it. So let me know in the comments what kind of scams you've come across that I haven't dealt with in this video, and I can talk about them next time. In the meantime, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell icon, and I'll see you next time.